is Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. A talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive John Diamondidis. And we're going to be discussing his incredible book, Argh to Aha. Math Made Easy. And yeah, you got to put emotion into it when you say the title, people, because if you just say R, it doesn't really have the same effect. So you got to put the emotion into it. And I promise you, by the time we've concluded, you're going to have some aha moments yourself, man. It's Amazon. It's cityofbooks.com. This is one that you're going to want to add to your shelf. And before I go any further, if you haven't figured it out already, John was brought to us by that same publishing firm, City of Books. So for my writers out there listening in, if you've gone through your process and now you need some assistance moving that book you just developed, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, man. Head on over to cityofbooks.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is a true pleasure to have John here on the line. Man, listen, what if the secret to unlocking math wasn't found in a textbook, but actually in the mind of a former professional wrestler? I know, listen, that's an extreme question. I get it. But follow me down this rabbit hole, because I'm going to introduce you, man, because John is just that. All right. He's a former wrestler, and he's come up with a wonderful way to help you learn math, to make it so that it doesn't have to be intimidating. This is something I wish I had when I was in school all those years ago. It seems so far, but this is going to be something I'm going to have to implement with my children, who are still very young, but when they get to that age, this is going to be a lifesaver for them. Making things as simple as possible to help you get to your desired destination. Now, there's a message about life in there as well, but we're going to keep it focused on math right now. Let's dive in. Have your notebooks ready. This is about to be a fantastic education. John, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, man, and thank you very much for being with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you for that resounding introduction there. That was very nice.
Listen, man, I was following your roadmap, John. You laid it out for me. I was just following your lead, man. It's a pleasure, really, though. Niceties aside, I think what you've comprised is something very impactful and very beneficial for so many. So thank you for writing it. Thank you for being here with us to discuss it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's my privilege.
John, let's jump right in, man. Let's start off at that foundation. Let's learn a little bit more about yourself first and foremost, and then we'll go into the book. But tell us more about your background.
I spent the better part of my life, about 30 years, as a contractor up in Maryland. Summers sweating a lot, and then the winters freezing a lot. And then as life goes on and your family plans don't stay the same, and you get divorced. When I got divorced, I said, you know what? I'm moving to Florida. So I moved down to Clearwater. The kids were already of age that they could be taking care of themselves. Once I got down here to Clearwater, I was like, all right, now I'm here in one of the most beautiful places in the world. What am I going to do? I had a lot of friends still up in the D.C. metropolitan area, and they're calling me, and they go, wait, now you got to write that book. You got promising us that you'd write that book. Oh, yeah, the math book. Sure, we can do that. And that was brought on a lot in part because it's just math was fun to me all the time, because numbers are numbers. But before I moved down, I did 7 years as a professional wrestler with Covey Pro Wrestling. One of the highlights and big things that I've done. That's the first chance I had to impact a lot of little kids, and I go to the schools with my tag partners and stuff, and do the story time, and generally just go out and play with the kids during recess and reading time. So it was fun. It was fun, and it kept me focused on giving back.
Love that.
Now I'm down here in Florida, and I've written 18 books since I've been here for 5 years. And Argh, Math Made Easy is the first and only textbook I'm going to write.
Without further ado, man, let's jump into that book in a little more detail. So I have a lot of other questions that I want to get to. But start off, just give us a brief synopsis of what it entails.
The book, I wrote this because I know that there's a lot of young, below the age of 18, 19, they're going for their GED because they just couldn't grab the concept of mathematics.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because you're told, you go to school and you're told this is the way you do this. It's the only way to get from point A to point C, which point C is the answer to the math question. There's always a better way for you, and a better way for me, and a better way for Sammy down the street. Everybody's got their own little thing where they got to turn that. Once the light bulb is turned on, it's a breeze. But so there's 2 plus 2 will always equal 4, but how to get there can be different in several different manners. As long as your answer is 4, you're right. So it's just a matter of how to get to the end game.
Yeah.
And in this very simple book of Argh to Aha, Math Made Easy, that's what I do. I discuss my own personal techniques of how to do that. That's different from what you're taught, and then figuring out ways to do it yourself. So it's pretty neat. And for parents who are like, oh man, I wish I could help my kid, but I forgot how to do these things. Grab a copy of this book. You'll be able to help your kids with anything mathematics. Now, of course, I don't go into stuff like trig and trigonometry or calculus or anything like that. This just is the rudimentary basis of mathematics. It's arithmetic. So this is good for everybody. Anybody in school that's saying, I can't get it. Start at the beginning. Figure out how to get to the place. Because every level you go to, you can create your own method to get the same answer. It's all about you or your friend or your cousin, your uncle, your aunt. It's all a matter of how your brain is wired. And it's great. It's a lot of fun.
So I love what you're saying here, John. And I think that there is a great message to be found, obviously, with regards to the book. But as I said in my opening, and of course, brought it in for levity, but there is a message there to be found that can be utilized and implemented into life itself. Now, we're going to keep it honed in here, but one thing that I want to go into a little bit more elaboration with, because I know you talk about from your background, you were labeled as hyperactive as a student, which is always one of those things. Like for me, as a parent now that has children, I'm like, I don't really understand the term because I've never met a child that wasn't. Like, what are you talking about? Now, obviously, there's areas of gray there. We're not going to dive down that rabbit hole right now, but I just think that is such a lazy term, in my opinion. Anyways, here we go. Rather than seeing that label as a disadvantage, you were able to harness things, right? And shift your perspective, similar to what we're talking about here with this math book. You are taking a lot of concepts within the mathematical field that certain students, myself included when I was a student, that can be daunting, can be intimidating, and you're shifting now perception to see it in a simpler way. Thinking along those lines, talk to us about how you developed this better system for you for understanding math rather than the traditional methods that were being taught.
Absolutely. I'm going to start out with the why. And the why was that teachers could always write to my parents and on my report cards, really nice kid, everybody likes him, but man, if he doesn't get this, he's going to have to stay back a couple years. I didn't want to be held back and not be able to see my friends every day, so I had to come up with something. And my mom and dad were like, John, if you're going to fail and that, and I'm like, nah, I got it. So I turned the multiplication, let's go 5 times 5. Right? When you look at that, you go, oh, shoot, that's 5 times. How do you do? What is that? It's just 5 times. Mm-hmm. So a multiplication problem is an addition problem. So I'd write 5 times and add it up. And then you do that enough, it gets logged in your brain, what it is.
Right.
So you don't have to do that. right? And that goes for like a 64 times 3. So I would write 64 down 3 times added together instead of trying to figure out the multiplication process. And my answer was right. It's just I got there a different way. And that's what every student can do that. And it empowers you in that you're figuring it out. And when the teachers ask to show your work and you show them this elaborate mathematical equations that you wrote out, all these addition and subtraction, hey, you know what? It still works. And they look at you and they go, wow, okay, that's interesting. It's, yeah, that's my work. There it is. And then eventually, as time goes on and you're like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you've done enough math problems, all of it starts to make sense. So 6 times 6, then you can go, well, shoot, I already know that 5 times 6 is 30. So you write that down, and then you have to go one more 6, so you add it to 30.
Yeah.
So it's 36. And every multiplication problem is an addition problem that's written differently. And every division problem is a subtraction problem, but it's just written differently. So once you get that, once you figure that out as the student, you can fly right through your homework or right through your tests, everything else, because you're taking possession of the material. And to teach this to kids, like I used to tutor in my church up in Stafford, Virginia. After church services, we sitting there at the table, and the little kids come up and say, I got a math problem for you. I'm like, sure, bring it on, let's go. And I teach them, and boy, you should see their eyes just get wide open, and they go and run, tell their mom and dad, and I'm staying like 1 and 2 hours after church helping the kids with their homework because I like seeing the light bulbs go off. You know, the light bulbs go off in their head like, yeah. I got it, I got it. Right? And then 2 or 3 weeks later, they come back and they give me a big hug and say, look at my math test, anxiety A's. And it's like, all right. And that's the fun part of it. That's a real fun part. And it's like it gives you the power to own it.
John, let's say a child picks up your book and they successfully conquer math this upcoming year. What is the one thing beyond the academic grade that you hope that they take away from this experience?
What I would hope that they take away is that they can do anything they want to do as long as they want to do it. So if they want to so they obviously pick up this book because they want to learn how to do the math and make it easy. And if they can do that, then what else can they do? They can easily transfer the knowledge of how to do the workarounds for the math problems. They can do it to the English problem for writing. And then from English, they're empowering themselves as they're figuring out their own methods of teaching themselves on how to do things. So that's going to translate into everything else. As a wrestler, I was setting up the ring, and one of the fans goes, hey, man, let me help you. Give me some chores to do. So I'm asking him, I said, nail these 2 pieces of wood together. And I'm almost done doing everything else. This is 35 minutes later. He's got 1 nail hammered in. And I'm like, dude, you told me you wanted to work. Because I know I did. It's a good see, because I got 1 nail. And I'm like, yeah, but it's been 30 minutes. You should have this whole thing already put together and painted. And he goes, yeah, but you don't get it. I've never had anybody show me. That made me feel bad because I was busting his chops a little bit. And that's the thing with, if they have this book and they come to they all of a sudden excel in mathematics, something as simple as hammering 2 pieces of wood together, they're going to pick up so fast and figure out shortcuts on hammering the nails in because that's what they trained their brain to redo everything. And it's exciting. It's exciting when kids get this.
Yeah. John, I mean, I think, again, I know I've said this a couple of times in the interview, man, but I really do feel your book is so much larger than a math book, right? Or a math assistant. Because really what we're talking about here, where I see this instantly is, again, in shifting that perception, right? Like I see this so often. A lot of times we look at a particular problem, and of course we're focusing specifically on math, but your example of basically reversing multiplication to addition it gets you to the same end goal, but it's simplifying the equation. And listen, not everybody has to go about and doing it that way. But if you are like me, when I was in school, man, and there was so much frustration built around this course because it was like a foreign language and I just couldn't get it. This is the book for you. But even if you're not, even if math is something you always excelled in, I'd still advise you to pick up this book because I think there are everyday lessons that can be found here and really utilized towards improving your life. So I'm going to say it again. It's Amazon. It's cityofbooks.com. You got to purchase your copies today. Remember, the next time you face a problem that seems impossible, remember, it's not about working harder, but about seeing it differently. In this discussion today in John's book, man, it's shown us that the gap between frustration and freedom is simply a single shift in perspective. So head on over, pick up copies of this amazing book, and you can thank me later because I promise you, this is one for my parents out there. Your children are going to love. You're going to be able to assist them with homework again. You don't have to feel like, I've learned this so long ago, I don't remember. This is going to be a great benefit to everybody in the family. You know where to go. Pick it up today. John, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. I really do mean that. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Mr. Crow, thank you very much. It was all my pleasure.